The 959th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 bonus funds when you sign up with promo code MMA SGPN.
Heidi ho, degenerate. I was woken up to 959 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Sir Long Dong, one of our newer friends, I guess, in the Discord. I don't remember seeing that name. No, he's been around for a while, but it's got to be he, because no woman would have a name like that. But anyhow, Sir Long Dong, thank you for being part of our community. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, episode 959. I am, what's my new name? Michelangelo Colangelo, aka Jeff Fox. That is still Daniel Gumby Vreeland. We're just going to be pumping out regional episodes for you this week. We're going to throw a couple UFCs in too. Today's all about Fury Challenger Series 15, which is going down on Friday, which is interesting for Fury. Usually they have, I guess, Challengers, maybe something different for them. Usually it's Sunday with them, but they got a Friday event. We just covered a Cage Wars, which is going down at 3 p.m. Friday. So basically you can be set all Friday with MMA, not just watching MMA. We're going to give you winners as well. So, any thoughts on Fury Challengers? Anyone on here? I see some familiar names, even for casual like me. Anything exciting on this card for you, Gumby?
Yeah, I mean, the co-main event, main event, and actually the fight before that had some... I don't even know if you call them prospects anymore, because you are at kind of the point where, like, you've heard of them. So,
so that's something.
They've been around for a minute, but nevertheless, some exciting fights in there, which I'm looking forward to.
And Fury is always a very consistent feeder to the Contender Series, and sometimes even the UFC. So you can catch tomorrow's stars today, that type of thing with Fury. So we're going to cover that after. I remind you, you can get every episode of every show in one convenient feed. So search SGPN on your favorite podcast app to subscribe today. SGPN. You can even get us, me and Gumby, there on their app, but yours, all our articles too. So, all right, Fury Challenger Series 15, Houston, Texas is the spot. Fury is a Texas-based promotion. We've covered it quite a few times before. You should be familiar with it by now. Friday, 9 p.m. As I said. If you want to go watch it, Bayou City Event Center in Houston, Texas. And they always pack their cards. They got 16 fights here. Since we're doing 7 episodes this week, I don't think we're going to do all 16 fights. Sorry. I know. Some of you will be mad that we're not breaking down Dallas Dodd versus Shane Wright. But I'm
going to talk about that one in the
lightning. We are going to break down. Maddie Costello versus Mitchell Cup instead then. Mitchell Cup and his 0-6 record. So we're going to get you 5. And then, as we said, we got the lightning round that we like to do at the end. Some listener and or viewer gave us the title for that, and he's not been seen since. So, or maybe he's been seen and we just can't remember who it is. Regardless, we're going to get you some bonus plays at the very end after we break down the top. I guess we're doing top 5 fights of the night. So we'll start with featherweights. Damian Oranday, Nick Talavera, both American, no odds yet, but Fury's you can get odds for Fury pretty widely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always
widely around, right?
Yeah. Always very.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Oranday is the orangutan. Fantastic. He's 3-1 with 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once. That means he owes us rounds by my math. All his fights have taken place in Fury. He's won 3 straight fights after dropping his pro debut. He's 2-2 as a pro grappler. He's a year younger than Talavera. Slick Talavera. 6-3 with 6 submissions. He has been knocked out twice. He owes his rounds as well. 1-2 in Fury. Loss over his last 3, 5-2 over his last 7. Lost his last bout via TKO. He went 1-0 in LFA. He's 3 inches taller than Oranday, the orangutan.
I think Oranday slight favorite here, maybe like negative 140-ish. I don't think it'll be too big. They're both jiu-jitsu guys. They both much prefer a fight on the ground. And you know, their records are pretty evenly matched. So you're going to see a pretty close line. But ultimately, I think Oranday is the better fighter. Actually, Talavera might be a better striker in the grand scheme of things, but he kind of gets suckered into fighting like a big brawl. Like anytime he has any success or gets tagged and feels like he needs to get it back or something like that, like he just starts brawling. And that's like probably not a good idea against Oranday, who pretty much just wants to do jiu-jitsu and take you down. So when you start to get off balance by throwing wild shots and getting a little over your skis, like Oranday is the type of guy who's going to take advantage of that. I would also say too, just in terms of comparing their jiu-jitsu, Oranday is a much better in terms of his control. Like when he has you in a back control position or a top position, he's better at holding you in there. Whereas Talavera is dangerous, but Talavera is like largely dangerous off of his back. And so like fighting a jiu-jitsu guy, do I really want the jiu-jitsu guy who's just throwing up stuff off their back? No, I'd rather have the guy who's going to have like the rear naked chokes and the top position and the ground and pound and all of that kind of stuff too. And that's going to be Oranday in this fight. I would also just say like one of Oranday's submissions come against Michael Blockus, who is maybe one of the better prospects out there right now, particularly in the Fury kind of, Blockus has been fighting for Fury for a minute. Oranday kind of like spoiled his ascent up the division. He's really, really, really sharp with his submission game. I saw him hit an armbar from the back, which is one of my favorite submissions anyway. So like seeing all of that kind of clever stuff and just better control. I am a little bit worried if this fight were to stall out and stay on the feet because Talavera is going to be the better striker, but I don't think there's going to be too much of that. So give me Damiano Oranday, probably slight favorite.
Orangutans probably would be good at jiu-jitsu, wouldn't they? If you could train one.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Strength and the long limbs.
A lot of flexibility. You need flexibility in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, just like Gumby the orangutan. All right, we're moving up the card. Bantamweights. Marcelo Reyes versus John Garza, both from the United States. Let's tell you about Garza first. Mowgli is the nickname. 4-1, 1 knockout, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once. 2-0 in Fury. He's won 3 straight, and he's 3 years younger than Reyes. Reyes is 3-1 with 3 knockouts. He's been submitted once. 0-1 in Fury. He's won 3 straight fights. He's fought at 145 and 155. 4-0 as a pro boxer, an inch taller than Garza.
I'm going to say Garza's slight favorite here. A little bit larger maybe than Oranday. Maybe like negative 155, 160 if I had to guess. And I'm going to go with Garza in this fight. This is like almost the polar opposite from the last fight we just talked about. We talked about a couple of jiu-jitsu guys who, sometimes get suckered into brawling on the feet. This is like a couple of stocky little spark plugs who just want to throw overhand rights over and over again. And I kind of love that. Like, it's like kind of a really great matchmaking by the people at Fury, going from, this is all BJJ and both guys just want to do jiu-jitsu to both these guys just want to swing it. And they're kind of like shaped the same. Like I said, they're like stocky little spark plugs who throw big bombs. I just like Garza's a little bit better in terms of the way he approaches it. I think he does better at putting the combinations together. So it's not just one big punch. He sets it up with the jab and throws the overhand. Reyes will throw the jab, but it's almost like he throws the jab and the overhand separate, or the jab and the hook separate. He'll throw the jab to get you off of him and then, rotate a little bit and then find his hook later. Whereas Garza is much more likely to put a whole bunch together. I also love Garza in the clinch. Garza likes to move forward. So if people meet him in the clinch, he does a much better job of like ripping to the body, throwing those knees in the like clinch position, wearing on you, turn it into a grind instead of just like a pure slugfest. And, not for anything either. Marcelo Reyes has kind of had an issue with being backed up a little bit in the past. As I mentioned, like he kind of uses that jab to keep people from backing him up consistently. But, like if that's something you constantly are worried about because it's happened so many times to you, like, that's an indication of a problem, right? And so like I think Marcelo Reyes has a problem when it comes to being backed up. Does seem like something he's working on, but with Garza being a dude who moves forward, and like I said, even if Reyes were to meet him in the middle and wind up clinching up with him, I like Garza better there anyway. So I'm gonna go with John Garza here. Probably another small favorite.
Okay, lock her in. We're gonna get you some more plays after I let you know. If you don't know already, we're brought to you by Novig. It's Novig, all one word. What's Novig? Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. That's who they are. Novig, you're getting the best prices because they have reduced juice on bets. Novig is available in 35 plus states. Download the Novig app and get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. So get in on the action with Novig promo code SGPN. And we're brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is your home for pick'em entries where you can win up to 5,000 times your play. Gumby's probably has a play for you right now.
Sure. Let's kick it on over to Monday Night Football. We got the Cowboys playing the Raiders. Cowboys defense isn't very good, so, they're going to probably get themselves into a shootout here, and that's going to be really great for Dak Prescott's over on his passing yards. So go with the higher than on Dak Prescott's passing yards here on Underdog Fantasy.
There you go. Homer play for Gumby, even though he lives nowhere near Dallas. Underdog's got a brand new offer for you new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our code and only our code, MMASGPN. All right. How are those Cowboys doing this year? Not so great, right?
Not great. Not good at all.
Not going to be making
there's
the
a thing about when you have a bad defense and you're like, what if we had one less really great defensive player?
Yeah, we should get rid of
perhaps the best defensive player. What if he wasn't here to help our otherwise really terrible defense, and then being shocked that your defense is terrible?
Yes, I know. Weird, eh? Crazy how these things work. All right, we're third from the top now in Fury. Oh, we're back to this. This all adds up. We're going back to Texas. It's Houston though. Texans are doing a bit better than the Cowboys this year. Tedrick Macklin, United States. Pena Alamov, finally a non-American. He is from Turkmenistan. They're fighting 3 5-minute rounds, and that's a breaker down. I tell you about Alamov, I believe first. Alamov 5-3-1 with 1 no contest. He's been knocked out. He's knocked out 1 person, and he's been knocked out himself once. He owes us some finishes by my math. All those fights taking place in Fury. He's gone 1-1-1 with 1 no contest over his last 4. That is fantastic. How can you pull that off? So he's got 1 of everything. So something's got to give this next fight. TKO loss in his last bout. He's fought at 145. He's an inch taller than Macklin. Macklin is T money, obviously. 6-2, 1 knockout, 4 submissions. Never been finishing a fight. 5-2 in Fury. He has lost 2 straight fights. He's not fought since September of 2024. He's not won since May 2023. He used to fight up at welterweight.
So I think Alamov's going to be the favorite. A couple of reasons. Number one, the back-to-back losses for Macklin. He hasn't won in over 2 years at this point in time. And then in addition to that, for some reason, the books love Pena Alamov. They love this. Every single time I come in with a number and I'm like, oh, they'll probably, place it here, place it there. It's always like, really, they like Pena Alamov that much following that. And I'll be honest, I've just never really been impressed with him. When he was a kind of a new prospect on the scene and we broke down one of his fights, I watched some film and I was like, oh, this guy isn't even really all that good. I saw some holes here and holes there, and it seems like he kind of quits late in fights sometimes. And I was like, I don't really love him. Now he's lost a couple of times, and for some reason the books have still stayed on him, because I'm pretty sure that no contest 2 is a loss, right? That's the Heffernan loss.
Yeah. It got overturned after the fact, right?
I'm pretty sure Heffernan tested positive for weed, though. Not like drugs.
Performance enhancer.
Yeah, and that was right before his retirement too. And if you remember, we got Heffernan on that fight at plus 750 or something like that to beat Pena Alamov. So Alamov continuously over respected by the book. So I think he's going to be a favorite here. How big? I'm always surprised. So I'll say -140 because I just can't imagine they would go bigger than that on him because I think he's going to lose again. But hey, they've surprised me before, so I'm going to say take Macklin here. I think maybe plus 120 is my guess where they might line this. And look, I like him for a lot of reasons, not just because I'm fading Pena Alamov and I'm a Pena Alamov hater, but if you watch Macklin in those 2 losses, he does a really good job of defending the takedowns for the most part. And it is against a very high level of competition. He fought Devin Dixon, who immediately after that fight headed into the Ultimate Fighter house. And then he beat, who is the other one? Oh, he lost to Hector Sainz, who went on to be the Fury champ. He's the current Fury champ at lightweight. So he beat Hector Sainz. Lost to Hector Sainz. He lost to Devin Dixon. And those losses don't look great on your record when you've lost back-to-back and haven't won in 2 years. But those are good opponents. And if you watch in those fights, those 2 guys are really good at grappling. And he does a really great job of defending the early takedowns, getting himself back up. And then from an offensive standpoint, he marches forward. He puts together combinations. He's really a guy who likes to dial up the pressure. And as I said before, Alamov is a guy who, first of all, not super overwhelmed with any of his skills. I don't think he's a superlative wrestler. I don't think he's an amazing striker. I don't think anything like that. But also, as I said, he kind of wilts as fights go on. As the pressure gets turned up, as the heat gets turned up, as he hits a takedown and the guy jumps right back up and he's like, oh, I got to do that again. He just falls apart late in fights that way. And so for a guy like Macklin, who showed in those 2 losses, and granted they are losses, that he could get, defended the takedown, he could get back up and he could still come forward with a lot of gusto. It didn't work against Dixon and it didn't work against Sainz, but I do think it works against Alamov here. So give me Tedrick Macklin here, probably slight underdog.
Case in point about Alamov, last fight he opened at -110, closed at +215. So the books like him, but the books bettors don't.
But the books post him, and then you're like, what are they doing? Then hopefully you get in before. Yeah, get in on this one quick if you can.
Yeah, exactly. Because last time he got steamed the opposite direction. Justin Longoria is in the co-main event versus Steven Orozco. They're both from the States. They're fighting at flyweight. Longoria will tell you, but first Justin Longoria. So it's basically Justin with the B at the starting. That's a very good nickname.
Justin Longoria.
Yeah. If I didn't like my current nickname, that would be a nickname for sure. He's 5-1-1, 2 knockouts. Gumby really likes that.
That's really funny.
You got to have him on your show then, and ask him, how do you get that nickname? Bustin'?
I don't want to know.
I'm sure there's a great story about that.
I very much don't want to know.
All right, Longoria, 5-1-1, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. He's 5-1 in Fury, so all of his fights except one have been in Fury. He won his last bout via submission. He's 10 years younger than Orozco. Orozco is Rockefeller, 5-3, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. He has been knocked out once, 1-1 in Fury. Loss, win, loss is the record over the last 4. Used to fight at 135 and 145, 3 inches taller than Longoria.
So I'm going to go with Orozco here. I think probably is a decent sized underdog, maybe pushing 200, like the plus 190 kind of range is my guess. So both of these guys are, patient strikers. They're good enough on the feet. Longoria might be a touch faster, but he's also kind of can get complacent at times and doesn't necessarily want to push forward always. I'm also not blown away by his power or anything. He's fast, but is he fast for a flyweight? I don't know. And I think part of the reason why he gets complacent and doesn't get overly aggressive is I don't think he trusts his own takedown defense, nor do I. I've seen him give up some pretty lackluster takedowns from guys who shot from really far away. Maybe not even necessarily against guys who I consider to be good wrestlers. And so that's already kind of a problem. And then with Orozco, it's never his first move to wrestle. He's never out there being I'm just looking for my opening to wrestle. But I've seen him stunned on the feet before and have to panic wrestle his way to stay into a fight. And it's been my immediate thinking upon watching it was if this is how he wrestles Woozy, he's going to have no problem wrestling Justin Longoria. He should be able to just get top control whenever he wants it. And I don't think the discrepancy is enough on the feet that I think Longoria will have a lead when he gets taken down. As I said, Orozco feels like he could wrestle whenever he wants, but it's probably going to do on the feet. So in order for Longoria to win these rounds, he's going to have to be a head when he gets taken down. And I just don't think the output is there to be a memorable lead in terms of striking to get beat in the last 2.5 minutes of the round in the grappling. He would have to have left a mark in some way, shape, or form. And I just don't see that happening. So for those reasons, I really think Steven Orozco here, probably a live dog. And I like him here.
All right. Hopefully Justin doesn't bust in your play here, Gumby, right? Hopefully Orozco takes care of him. All right. We're going to get you our main event and our lightning round in a second after I tell you about Rhythm. That is spelled RITHMM. As you probably know by now, Rhythm is crushing in college football, NFL, and now just out of the NBA. Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from any model you build, and you can win $1,000. United States dollars. Gumby, you got to play for the people.
Sure, let's go to NFL on Monday Night Football. We're going to take the Cowboys laying the points against the Raiders. They got a little bit in terms of defensive reinforcements here for this one, so I'm trusting that it will hold up enough to beat Geno Smith and gang. So give me the Cowboys.
We'll have to see. Geno Smith's a force to be reckoned with. Use our promo code SGPN25 when you download that Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. So download Rhythm, RITHMM, use promo code SGPN25. All right, we're back to Texas for our main event. It says 5 5-minute rounds, even though it's not for a belt. Featherweights, Dakota Hope versus Damian Nelson. I'll tell you about Nelson first. Dynamite. Damian Nelson is 9-4 with 3 knockouts. He's been submitted once. He's 1-0 in Fury. He's won 5 straight, 5 of 8, 6 of 10. He's a regional champ. He's 1-1 in PFL, or went 1-1 in PFL. He missed weight before at featherweight. He's 3-inch taller than Hope, 6-inch reach advantage. So he's much, much bigger. Hurricane is Hope, which translates to hurricane. He is Hurricane Hope, is 9-1, 4 knockouts, 1 submission. Never been finished in a fight. This is his debut in Fury. He's won 3 straight. He's not lost since January 2022. Finally, I get to say this, Gumby. He has multiple reach championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our shirts, get our merch, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. He's 4 years younger than Nelson.
I think Nelson's going to be the favorite here, despite having the worst record. Obviously, way more tested than Hope is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hope's kind of at the position where he needs a test like Nelson, whereas Nelson, you know, Dakota Hope is not even close to the best fighter that Damon Nelson has fought. As a result, I think he'll be a favorite, but the fact that there is like a good record on the other side, like maybe like a -135, -145 kind of range for Nelson. And at that price, I would really like him. As I mentioned, strength of schedule is incredible. He's beaten Tony Toro, Isaiah Diggs. He beat Don Chanis at one point in time from the UFC. He fought Nathan Garib. I think he lost that fight to Garib, though. But as we learned this past week, like Garib is an absolute animal. And probably belongs in a big show himself. But like Damian Nelson, you know, he's hung with all of those guys, dealt with all of them. He's sharp on his feet, really light, moves well. And then on the Dakota Hope side, from what I saw of his film, he's just like very mechanical in terms of his striking. It feels like you kind of have to like pull a lever and wait for him to throw whatever punch is coming after that. It's just predictable. You can kind of tell it's coming a mile away, all those types of things. And I don't like that about Dakota Hope. He does wrestle a little bit, but I don't know if it's good enough to like give trouble to Damian Nelson. Because like Damian Nelson, like I said, has fought Don Chavis and Isaiah Diggs and like, you know, guys who are good wrestlers too. You know, even Garib's a good wrestler, but like his wrestling defense held up in all of that, which is why he's on this like big winning streak he's on right now, is because the defense all holds up. So I'm not terribly worried that Dakota Hope will get him down. Like that would be my only actual concern in the fight too, because I think Nelson is so much cleaner on the feet than Hope is. So I'm gonna go with Damian Nelson. I think he probably pieces him up.
All right, let's give you a recap here. He's got Nelson, he's got Orozco, he's got Macklin, T-Money, he's got Garza, he has got Oranday, the orangutan, and he's got some lightning round plays. Lots to choose from on Fury. What do you got for us?
So we're going to start with Dallas Dodd. You mentioned him at the top of the episode. He has been a frequenter of our lightning round, either on the positive side or the negative side. I actually remember vividly picking against him in his second pro fight in our lightning round. I took Nick Lancaster, who was a big muscly guy who I was like really sure was good at MMA, and turned out not to be. Dallas Dodd like handled him pretty easily. Since then, Dodd has lost 2 in a row. Granted, against some like really high level of competition, like they rushed him up the ladder, clearly wasn't ready for that level. But they've kind of like moved him back down a couple of rungs on the ladder again and have him where he should be. But who knows? Maybe those 2 losses make him a little bit more interesting too. So, you know, I like that he's got a good overall ground game and he's had tough competition and sort of learning from those losses. So Dallas Dodd's the first one. The other one I'm going to take is Chris Velarde. Chris Velarde won both of his pro fights with rear naked chokes. Really nice top control. I've even seen some of his amateur fights. Really sharp ground game from there. I think he sort of has to round it all out in order to be like a prospect, like a capital P. But at this point in time, he's sort of at the position where they're not giving him anybody who's going to force him to do anything but what he's really good at. And I think right now what he's really good at is jiu-jitsu and top control wrestling, back takes. He's a good back take too. And I think he's going to handle business again today. Or this weekend rather. So that's Chris Velarde and Dallas Dodd is my 2 lightning round plays.
All right, you're set for Fury. If you want more of us or to chat or hang out with the gens, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Of course, you can hit us up in the comment section on YouTube, MMA Gambling Podcast. Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer. What else can you get us at? You can get me at my Substack, moneymma.substack.com. You can catch Gumby on his other podcast, Top Turtle. Who is on Top Turtle this week?
We're talking with Volkan Ozdemir before. Actually, he's already in Qatar when we were talking to him. So before his fight in Qatar, not before he heads out to his fight in Qatar. But we're talking to him, and then we're also talking to Shannon Clark, fresh off of her LFA 221 title defense down in Brazil. She's got some fun stories about being in Brazil and also what's next for her.
All right, so check out Top Turtle, and of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We'll be back very shortly, probably tomorrow. Gumby, bid the people farewell.
All right, I'm Daniel Gumby Vreeland. He's J Money, Jeff Fox, and we will see you, I don't know, soon.